Thank you for inviting me this great forum. And well, I'm a kind of a computational social scientist, and what I'm going to present today is not the direct outcome, but the output of those research. But these are kind of emerging concerns inside my mind, emerging as I keep those computational social science. So I will say that those are kind of hidden issues which make ethical AI much more difficult than we expect. So let me start with the first issue. This is a very famous example of Google photo tagging. So they tag Black people with gorilla. That was bias tagging long ago, and obviously Google fixed it. And here is a more recent example, which is also a very famous example, that the earlier version of Gemini produced these unrealistic images of German soldiers during the World War II. And they produced these Black and female Pope images. And the interesting point is that at that time, people did not praise Google or Gemini for their imaginative pictures. They just kind of criticized it for the unrealistic output. So my point is that removing bias is not necessarily contradictory with their performance, but consciously enhancing diversity could be much more difficult task because it often hurts their performance. We all know that these algorithms lead us to very restricted filter bubble. And the tech firms know that they are criticized for that filter bubble effect. And then the issue is, why would they not improve their algorithm, which can lead us to diverse information? That's because that hurts the eventual performance. People don't click on diverse information. People don't like diverse information, and eventually they don't buy it. So this diversity has the risk of, so the promoting diversity has the risk of this over diversity, and much like this overfitting problem when we don't have rich information on social minorities. So I think it's my kind of first concern. And let me move to the second concern. So let me start with the sad picture. I'm a sociologist, and this is sad news that last year, the number of autocratic countries eventually surpassed the number of democratic countries for the first time in over 20 years. And if you look at the world population, it's much more serious. So 3/4 of the entire world population right now live in autocratic countries rather than democratic countries. So why did this happen? I will summarize this one. So we are moving from PC to PP. I mean, we are not living in the world of political correctness anymore. We live in the world of political populism. So I would like to highlight this kind of a paradox. So social scientists and policymakers are pretty excited at digital data because we finally can make decision-making. We can make decisions based on evidence. Pretty optimistic. But when you look at our real world, and whenever we do our voting, the civic life is not like that optimistic. We don't have any shared evidence anymore. We fight each other at every election. So what's the problem? And my kind of tentative answer is, at least for social data, evidence is not guaranteed by statistical patterns only. There are human motivations and stories behind those data, and evidence should be backed up by those narratives. And the scientists and elite people tend to focus on patterns, But even those elite people, when they vote, they focus on narratives. So we need to pay attention to both processes at the same time. I mean, this reasoning process and this empathetic process, both are really essential part of the evidence in social data. So until now, we have been putting much effort on that fact-checking process, which checks whether the rumors have the real statistical patterns. But I think that we should make more scientific effort on this process. There are patterns, but do we really restore or discover narratives behind the patterns? I mean, that matters much more these days to save the democracy, I think. So this is a second hidden issue. We need a representative data, but that representative does not necessarily mean statistical representatives. But it's the issue is, do we really have representative narratives for social minorities? And we are relatively poor at narrative mining compared to data mining or statistical pattern mining. Let me move to the third issue. So if you ask your image generating AI to produce 8 different versions of avocado chairs, it will give you 8 variations. So if you pick one and produce it and sell it, if it becomes popular, then the people's taste are really affected by this kind of machine culture. And here is much more striking evidence of machine culture. So the graph shows that how much you know Go game. I mean, we are Koreans and Japanese, so it shows how human decisions in Go game resembles the decisions of AI player, and it had been pretty independent. But the human decisions suddenly started resembling AI decisions right after the professional player Isidore was defeated by AlphaGo. So since then, I mean, the Go game doesn't have the same human spirit anymore, and it's heavily affected by this machine culture. Why do I mention machine culture? If you look at this diagram, the Duncan Watts used to be applied mathematician, but later switched to sociologist. And he found very interesting, unique explanation mechanism in social science. So the human beings have the ability of empathy. And through mental simulations, the social scientists put their perspective into the data and try to understand what happened. That's the way we understand the human behavior or action. But long ago, Adam Smith already mentioned that ability is the basis of our moral sentiment. So we put ourselves into the situation of very poor people suffering from some unfair situation. So that sympathy is the foundation of a moral sentiment. So let's think about this generative AI. So the AI for general purpose. I mean, so the AGI, the ChatGPT is so popular. People don't use ChatGPT for scientific purpose. They are actually using it because it's pretty empathetic, not necessarily intelligent. I mean, that's why we chat with ChatGPT. So the AI becomes increasingly unbiased, and it's pretty empathetic. So what's the final outcome? That's called a sycophancy. I mean, the ChatGPT just talk in the way we want to listen to. So this is pretty good movie, sci-fi movie, After Yang. It's a very great art movie. But one interesting part of this movie is that if you look at the poster, black and white couple adopted Asian child and rented a robot to take care, the babysitter to take care of the child. So you can see that the maximum of post-human diversity. That's the future of our family. But the problem is, this robot, Yang, is robot and well-trained, very civilized robot. So it doesn't express any negative emotion. It's love. And some positive emotions like love and excitement, they are also love. So the human beings interacting with that robot, they don't know how to get angry. I mean, they never expressed any kind of anger. And the point is that the emotional diversity in this future is pretty shrinking, I would say. So anger is actually a very important emotion because it's the basis of moral sentiment. We get angry when we observe and sympathize very unfair situation. But it's not clear whether we are actually keeping our sympathy ability as the generative AI becoming more and more ethical or even psychopathic. So that is the third concerns emerging. And let me move to the final one. The agentic AI is pretty hot topic these days. And so if I have multiple agents and they interact with each other and make a final decision for me, then that is a synthetic decision, not human decision. And what if that synthetic decision is fed into machine learning again? I mean, I already showed the picture of this post-truth society where we don't have shared evidence. And there are different mechanisms that kind of amplify the post-truth society. And what if that synthetic decisions is kind of working, and each agent may already learn my confirmation bias? Then, if those agents interact with each other, it might simply reinforce my echo chamber quickly. And as those synthetic decisions are accumulating online, I mean, I endorsed my decision to my agent. So I kind of formed as a synthetic identity. And that could be pretty problematic. Well, each of you have multiple accounts in social digital world, like email account, Instagram account, any other application account. But we can agree that on that the real I mean, with the real self is much richer and much more complex than the mere sum of those accounts. I mean, I think that there's no doubt. But what if agentic AI became really prevalent? And can you say that am I really richer and more complex than the total sum of my agent? And if we endorse more and more decisions to my agent, then it's almost like my digital twin, and this total sum of agent becomes much closer to real I. So the issue is authenticity, finally. So the dilemma is, should I keep authentic self separate from my agent, or should I feed authentic self, authentic I to train my agent? I mean, we probably should do both. I mean, authenticity could be the ground truth for digital agent. But in the world of that machine culture, do we have the real authentic I confidently separate from identified AI? So what is authenticity? It shouldn't be snobbish. I mean, it should be real, and our actions should match our words. So it is not contents on the Instagram. It should be much different. And it's against the post society. So the authentic information should be true information, I would say, both in terms of patterns and also narratives. AI slopes are pretty much problematic, increasingly dominating the digital contents. And authentic content should be produced by humans. And most importantly, we cannot be authentic when we judge others. We can be authentic only when I talk about myself. So that's how we accumulate authentic narratives on the digital world. So, I mean, being unbiased and increasingly cautious and reserved attitude, that's how ethical AI is moving toward. But I kind of think that's not enough for improving and enhancing diversity. I mean, we human beings should be eventually empathetic to others' narratives, and we need to keep or pay more attention to that authenticity. So it is a kind of a, I think we are trapped in diversity. I mean, the social identities are increasingly differentiated, and we have much narrower common ground. That's why we cannot have shared evidence anymore. And so this is the way I think we should head toward. How do we scale up our evidence, social evidences? I have my own unique narrative, which cannot be reduced to others' experience. And we kind of tell the authentic story online, and we can be empathetic to others' narratives. And that's the way to build up social evidence in the future, I think. Okay. All right, that's it. Thank you for listening.